So we've got single family offices, we've got multifamily offices, we've got virtual family offices, and then what the heck is this, MDF? In this video, we're going to talk about all of those. There's a pro and a con to every single option you have. For every gimme, there's a gotcha. There's an ideal client that each of these types of businesses serve. And for you, as a financial professional, there's things to be aware of and how you can actually integrate some of these models into your existing business. So let's jump into that. If that sounds interesting, do me a favor, give the video a thumbs up, please. Also, as a way of introduction, my name is Anton Anderson, CEO of a company called Elite Resource Team. Background is as a financial advisor. Grew my practice using what really was in early days of a virtual family office. Sold that practice and started Elite Resource Team in 2014. So since 2014, we've been helping CPAs and financial advisors come together to really leverage the concept of a family office to deliver more proactive and holistic planning to high net worth clients and business owners. So let's jump into this. What are the pros and cons to each? What do they actually mean? What type of clientele do they serve? We're going to start with a SFO, which is a single family office. Now, before I give you my definition, I should clarify the fact that this is not a government term or a legal definition like a S corporation or an LLC, where you can Google it and you can actually see. These are more terms that are used in the industry. So my definitions are just based on my experience, and you might have other people that have slightly different definitions or clientele that they're approaching, even though they hold themselves out still as a single family office, a multifamily office, a virtual family office, etc. So in terms of the single family office, yes, I have worked with single family offices, actually do right now as well. A single family office typically is given credit to being started by the Rockefellers. They were kind of the first single family office. What you have in that circumstance is usually an ultra high net worth client that says, rather than having all of my professionals working at all of these separate companies, I'd like to hire all of you to come and work for our family. Now, when I say hire all of you, that could look very different for different single family offices depending on really what their activity is. If they invest in businesses, it might look like one type of team that they're hiring. If they invest in real estate, it could be a different type of team. So usually you're going to have financial advisor, CPA, attorney, some type of analyst, and oftentimes other niche experts as well. So when a single family office is established, you have pros and cons. Like I said, all of these have pros and cons. You have pros and cons. I'll call it pro is what I'm going to say collaboration, ultimate collaboration. Okay? Because think about it, just all of these individuals are working under one roof for your family. So there's ultimate collaboration. There's no competition of what you should do with your dollars. They're all coming together to collaborate, thinking about what's the best thing for your single family office. Now, the downside of that is ultra expensive. So again, you need an ultra high net worth family because of the cost to establish and run a single family office. When I talk about ultra high net worth family, what would I say that typically looks like? 200 million net worth and north? You know, sometimes people can define it a little bit lower, a little bit higher, but generally that's what I kind of want you to be thinking is somebody with a very large net worth. And then in terms of establishing a family office, you're probably looking at 50 grand or so of legal fees. And in terms of running that family office with salaries, at least $300,000 to $400,000 a year, okay? So I'd say probably $50K to establish, and you're looking at, let's say, at least $300,000 a year to employ the professionals that are working for the single family office, and some are going up into the seven figures and so forth. Okay, so that's a true single family office. More common than a single family office is a multi-family office, so MFO, multi-family office. What does that mean? It means there's a group of professionals that have come together, started a company, right? So maybe we have 5 or 6 individuals. We probably have a CPA, an attorney, a financial advisor, an insurance agent. Those are like the common players within a multi-family office. And they run a company, so they hold themselves out as A.J. Anderson and Company multifamily office. And what that means is rather than just serving one single family, they're serving multiple families. Logical enough. So the pros and cons of that would be, well, you have still a good degree of collaboration. Let's say this is like 4 arrows. This one maybe is 3 arrows, but the cost is going to be not as expensive, certainly as a true single family office, because now as a multifamily office, I'm serving probably, I'd say 10 clients is pretty average. Maybe you go down to 5 clients if they're high net worth, we're charging a lot. Maybe you're up to 20, 25 clients. And you're charging each of those clients on the low side, 25 grand, on the high side, 50 grand. 50 to 100 grand a year. And that's just in terms of them paying to be a member or a client of your multifamily office. You still oftentimes are getting revenue from any type of implementation on strategies, any type of AUM you're doing, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? So multifamily office, it is probably, you're looking at, again, 25K to, we'll call it 100K. And in terms of the net worth, I'd say 20 million and north is fairly common. So you're looking at a minimum. And again, all of these are just ranges, and each group gets to decide where they want to kind of place their benchmarks. But that's fairly common. And then the next one would be a virtual family office. This is gaining, I'd say, more and more popularity, especially since COVID, because people are more comfortable just working virtually. Virtual family office is the same basic concept, which is rather than having all of your individual professionals working in their own individual silo with very little collaboration, you now are bringing professionals together, but it's virtually. They're not sitting under one company. Most of the time they are all running their own companies. They're an expert in what they do. They're just coming to collaborate for specific client circumstances. So it's kind of like, think about the Olympics, okay? We'll use basketball as the analogy. You're gonna grab a couple people, maybe from each team, to build this Olympic all-star team, okay? All of those players, though, in the normal season, regular season, they all have their own teams that they're playing for, their own jerseys that they're wearing. But during the Olympics, they don't show up in their Lakers jerseys and their Warrior jerseys and their Celtics jerseys. They show up with their USA jersey on, right? So that's very similar to a virtual family office. They all are running their own businesses, but when they show up to the table for a client, they should be wearing one collective jersey, meaning working for one collective team. So let's talk about the pros and cons and kind of where they fit. The pros, again, collaboration, and I'll say it's 2 arrows. So ultimate collaboration, a little bit more, maybe even 2.5, depending on how well this virtual family office is run, but much less expensive as well, certainly than a single family office, and even less expensive typically than a multifamily office. So the collaboration is much, much higher than what most clients are used to in the marketplace, because they have their advisor at Merrill and they have their CPA at whatever, I was going to say H&R Block, but that's probably not the case. They have their CPA at some local CPA firm or regional or super regional firm. They have an insurance agent over here. They've got a P&C guy or gal over there. They've got an attorney over there. Very little collaboration. If anything, there's a little bit of cooperation once in a while, but it's mostly everybody's in their own silos. That, in my opinion, is an extremely outdated and by far the worst model for the client, worst model for the financial advisor, worst model for the CPAs. I think we're going to see a massive shift, an exodus away from that type of model, especially for the high net worth client and the business owners, because it's just too disjointed. So then we look at the marketplace and we say, well, what are the options they have? Most of them don't actually know any of these options even exist. I think the single family office for, just think about the net worth. How many people have 200 million net worth plus and not only have that type of net worth, but the liquidity where they're going to spend 50 grand to set it up, 300,000 plus a year to employ those people. Doesn't happen that often. Multifamily office and virtual family office, I think, by far will continue to grow in popularity because, again, the higher collaboration, the lower price point. I think the multifamily office is actually at risk of being slightly outdated unless they combine the multifamily office and the virtual family office. What I mean by that is maybe under one roof you have a CPA and a financial advisor, and then you have a virtual family office of experts that you bring in anytime something is outside of your area of expertise. Now let's talk a little bit about the net worth of the individual that a virtual family office would serve. You know, this really varies significantly because the costs are much lower. You don't have to employ people under one roof when you have an all-star team because they get to go work and play regular season for their own teams. You just bring them in when it's the all-stars. So probably you're looking at clients that are either high net worth, high income earners or successful business owners. So you're probably looking at, you know, $1 million at least more. Some people will set that a little bit higher depending on how established their practice is, or maybe a little bit lower depending on the income of the individual. Somebody's a doctor, but they graduated 3 years ago, so they're making $500,000 a year, but they've got $1 million of school debt, you know. So the net worth might be lower, but the income might be higher. And then in terms of how much for a client it's going to cost to work with a virtual family office, I would say on the low side, you're probably looking at $5K a year. And then on the higher side, depending on how proactive you want this team to be, you're looking at probably $25K a year. And if they're doing some really advanced planning, then that's where you start to get into the maybe $50K or more a year, okay? Last question here I have. Multidisciplinary firm, MDF. I've heard that term used. I used to use it back in the day. Multidisciplinary firm, all that really means is that under one roof or in one company, one firm, you have multiple disciplines that you can offer clients, right? And so you might see, again, a version of a multifamily office or even a virtual family office that's holding themselves out as a multidisciplinary firm. That basically means at our company, we can help you with your tax returns. We can help you with your insurance needs. We could help you with your retirement planning needs. It's probably a step above a siloed business where they only do one thing. If you only do one thing, I think it's a pretty rough looking future from here. So multidisciplinary firm, I think, is a step in the right direction. The best way, though, to set up a multidisciplinary firm is where you truly offer more of that family office type of experience where you're explaining the collaboration that happens between the different professionals. And then again, my personal preference is whether you are holding yourself out as a multifamily office or a virtual family office, you should always have access to the experts that back up the virtual family office. I even work with one single family office that simultaneously, in addition to their internal employees, they will also leverage our virtual family office. Because just think about how much sense does it make to employ somebody that you're only going to use once a year, right? And when you work with that individual you use once a year, it's going to cost you 10 grand. Why would you employ that person for 120 grand throughout the course of the year? You wouldn't. So hopefully this video was interesting. You can kind of see there's a lot of overlap. I think there's a ton of opportunity in this space right now. And it's going to be really fun as people become more and more comfortable with technology. Things like AI make it even more powerful to run virtual practices. And I'm just excited to kind of see how this shifts and unfolds over the next few years. So if you liked the video, do me a favor, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you don't already. We come out with free content like this all of the time. My goal is just to kind of educate people on everything in this world with proactive and holistic planning. And lastly, I would say if you have any questions or any comments on this, it'd be great to see those in the comments below. It actually lets YouTube know that human beings are watching these and actually enjoying the content. So that's all I would ask from you is give it a thumbs up, make a comment if you'd like. And I guess the last thing is if you know anybody that would like this video, please send it on to them. That's it for today. Thanks everyone.